Okay, one of the questions we have is how do we fund the commons, things which do not have a direct business model and have a more complex uses of value. And Abbey, what's the name of your team?
Crowdfunding the Commons, and we're working on building augmented bonding curves as a solution to that problem.
Yeah. So we had the ICO, was very popular, became huge and went down. And some of the good things came out of that, but what were the problems with the ICOs? What kind of things which were lacking?
Well, there's two things. One is that they were purely based off of speculation. So it was all about investors buying in and hoping that tokens would value over a certain amount of time. And then selling out, pumping and dumping, one would say. And then the second was that you had no transparency into what teams were actually building. So these companies and these projects had major valuations that weren't backed by any information. So often these were prone to fraud and just plain old lying.
Yeah. Yeah, it basically, I mean, if you really had a big mouth and you could do a lot of marketing, you could just raise a lot of money. And so you build a platform to do that a lot more structured and organized and have business rules. So what kind of aspects are in there?
Yeah, so we focus on sustainability instead of speculation. So augmented bonding curves are a crowdfunding and financing mechanism for continuously funded and self-governed organizations that are funded and governed by the investors, builders, and community members. So in augmented bonding curve systems, investors are economically incentivized to align with builders because they can only make returns if they pay builders to do work. And this is because augmented bonding curves are bonding curves, which are hard-coded token minting schemes attached to a floating pool of capital that can be governed upon and decided on where to distribute that capital to fund people who are contributing labor to the commons.
Okay, let's unpack that because I mean you talk more, more concept is really. I mean, but you have one thing. You have investors. They can put in this case, Ethereum, right? You use that as a tool, and then they can put it in, and they get tokens out of it. But the tokens they cannot use it immediately. They first have to vote, so that the builders who are contributing to the project get rewarded in terms of Ethereum, and then slowly their tokens get unreleased. And what can the investors do with these tokens then, if something is built?
Yeah, so when tokens are locked, they can use the tokens to vote on where the funding that they've raised in a crowdfunding campaign can go. So they can.
Okay, so the investors have to decide what is going to be built. What do they know about that project? They just invested in it. Why would they have, with their votes, have useful knowledge to put the project further, just to be the advocate of the devil?
Well, smart investors, just like VCs invest in great teams. Yeah. So they find the best builders, the best founders to help them govern their decisions. So this means that they can give parts of their tokens to builders. So the investors that we're talking about aren't just third-party stakeholders, they're also builders of the protocol, of the open source project.
Okay, good. Let's take a look at, okay, so what do I see here? This is what you've built so far.
So basically, we built a Kickstarter for launching open source projects and protocols communities. So basically, you could consider this just like a crowdfunding campaign. So to start off the interface, we have set up the campaign with information that an investor would want to know. So basically, what are you investing for and what is it? But the most important part of this interface is the communication of how we parameterize and initialize an augmented bonding curve community. So the parameters are something that the regular commons person won't really understand, and that's okay, because all you need to understand is how the curve affects the amount of money that you're looking to raise in the hatch sale. So this gives us the ability to easily slide and understand how...
These are milestones. Yeah. Milestones, if I reach this, then money will be allocated.
So right now, this parameter is saying that we're going to raise $500,000. $500,000, and because it's 25%, a certain amount of money will be allocated to the pool.
To start off the project, yes. And it will be released to the builders. And if they reach certain amount of goals, then other money will be released from this funding pool.
Yep. So when investors buy into a curve, their tokens are locked. So they can't make money until funding, which is how much money that's put into the funding pool, is allocated directly to builders. So then we set community guidelines. So basically minimum contributions, how long is the hatch sale? This gives us the ability to really frame this as a campaign and not just a random curve initialization. So we set our campaign, and now we have a live crowdfunding.
A dashboard. We have a dashboard. Okay, and we can start raising money, and the money flows in. And it is, if certain things are reached, then things will happen and money will be allocated to the builder pool.
Yep, exactly. So you can buy and sell into the curve. Obviously, you can't withdraw right now because you're still in the hatch sale. Once you reach this goal, you'll be able to start selling your tokens based off of how much money is distributed through our governance module. So this is a conviction voting module, which is the governance tooling that we're using within our augmented bonding curve solution.
I can vote with my tokens. I can vote, and then
Exactly.
I now want Team 2 to basically start building on their whatever. Yeah.
And I can vote and say this is where I want to put the money, and I can also donate directly to the curve just in case I want something to get done quicker. So this gives me the ability to interact with not only as an investor but a builder into funding and supporting the growth and launch of an open source community, project, or protocol.
Yeah. In a very structured way. So, and you've built this user interface now in these 4 days?
Yes.
48 hours?
Over this 48 hours, we actually implemented this entire augmented bonding curve system in Solidity. So we launched it in a smart contract, which means that this is something that could be used today, and we developed the interface.
And behind this, and this all these things that go over that. So this is basically this is the ideas behind it, which you've implemented in that platform.
Yep, this is basically going into why is this important, what is the impact that it's going to have on investors, builders, and projects, and what does the impact it has on society. Basically, this reimagines investment and gives us a new way to fund and sustain open source development.
ICO 2.0. So what's your background?
Mechanical engineering. I started my own company that was all about crowdfunding data and delivering it to public sector so they can make their operations more efficient. And then
Fiat money, with fiat, normally fiat money.
And then
Central databases and fiat money, and then you basically got bit by the blockchain snake.
Well, I went into venture capital, where I was working under investors who invested in the open source wave, who were trying to understand their blockchain strategy. And that's when I put both feet in, went down the rabbit hole, whatever phrase you want to use, and now blockchain is kind of what I live, think, and breathe.
What do you think the blockchain, this way of organizing an investment, will have an influence on the VC industry? Why is it useful? I mean, it could be a quicker liquidity.
Yeah, so basically this offers investors earlier returns, lower risk investments because it's lower return rates with higher guarantees of success, and also just like better investments because you can, unlike ICOs where you don't understand what work is being gone into, you can understand and you can see how funding is being allocated within the funding pool. So you're able to understand the health and the value of a project because you can see the labor being funded and being done.
But I mean, it doesn't have to be for the commons. I mean, it can be for any kind of project, right?
Yeah, it can be for any type of system, project, or protocol that's not right now served by traditional investing. But you can also think that commons, that's the other thing, is that it can be applied to digital commons, but it can also be applied to other commons, physical commons, national parks, public goods.
But also commercial projects.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You came out of New York for this hackathon especially?
Yeah, I did.
How did you hear about it?
We have actually 5 teams here building the common stack. So building a reference implementation for a continuously funded and self-governed organization to fund token engineering research. So we have, we're just one piece of the puzzle, and we have 30 other people here building towards this common goal of redefining.
Where did they come from?
All over the place. My team is from Serbia, the Netherlands, America, everywhere, and the entire team. We've been working globally and decentralized for the last 2 months, and we got to come together and build things this week. So,
just one of the teams here at the Odyssey in the suikerfabriek in Groningen.